everyone. Welcome back to my channel, especially for those who watched my Monstera drama video last week. I am following up this week. I had a resounding, as you can see, I've got two pots here. I had a resounding message from folks who watched the video that I needed to repot this Monstera. It was an impulse buy. It's been very poorly potted. It isn't in the best of shape. It's got mechanical damage as well as what looks like maybe fertilizer burn and even some maybe burns from direct sunlight. And comment after comment was basically just, are you kidding? Yeah, summer's technically over, but you need to repot this plant. And so I took that to heart, and Saturday morning I got up, I'm looking at the plant, and I've made the decision I am going to go ahead and repot it. And again, I was pretty upset with myself last week because I again, this was an impulse buy, and it wasn't like I bought a small plant. I bought a pretty big Monstera that takes up a lot of space and isn't in the best of shape. So you can see me kind of prepping it. I'm trying to understand, look, that was a new leaf. So here I am, I'm shaking it out of its pot, and here we go. For those of you who said just repot it, how right you are. Do you see all that? That's mold. That's one of the things that happens when you use plastic pots sometimes, and as you can see, it's very root bound at the bottom. There's a plastic pot. Here is the terracotta pot that it's going into, so I'm going to be potting up. This is a size larger than the pot that it was in. And look at this, watch. I'm just going to kind of peel off what looks like what mostly is compacted peat around the plant. And what you can see is as this falls off, look at this, just in chunks. I'm pretty shocked here. A completely root bound plant. So this plant looks like what happened is it was completely root bound in probably a nursery pot. Then it got packed in with some peat around it into a new pot and taken to a retail outlet to be sold. But as you can see, the roots are very tight in here. It's really compact. And yeah, it needed to be repotted. So I decided, you know what, I can't leave it like this. I'm gonna have to actually come in and do a lot more to this plant than I was intending. I was intending to just go ahead and plop it into a new pot. No harm, no foul. It wouldn't take long. I wasn't planning to disturb the roots because, again, we are outside of summer. Even if it is just by a few days, the light here is noticeably different. However, you got to do what you got to do. And when you buy a plant this late in the season and it's not, it's not been potted correctly, you probably are going to have to do this, especially when it's as root bound as it was. And this just doesn't look like quality materials that it was potted in to begin with. So you can just see me here. I'm as gently as I can, but honestly also pretty assertively removing a lot of the old soil and getting it ready, and hoping that I can create some conditions for it in my home that will kind of carry it through, because it's losing a lot of its smaller roots here, as you can see. And those are important, to be honest with you. Those definitely are help transmitting water and nutrients. So yeah, it ended up, like I said, being a lot more than what I wanted to do, and also very necessary. I'm trying to imagine what would have happened over winter, and then kind of glad that I'm not. So I'm using the remaining bit of potting mix that I've got. This is something that I put together myself, and I'm completely out of it now, by the way. I didn't just repot my Monstera today. I went ahead and I actually repotted. I separated two fiddle-leaf figs that were in one pot, and I also repotted another fiddle-leaf fig that I had, and I should have done it earlier in the season, and I didn't. But as you can see here, I just, I went one size up, and I think that was the right thing to do. And potting it, once I got it to this stage, it wasn't too terribly difficult. So you can just see me kind of here securing it, making sure that trying to make sure as much as possible that I don't have any air pockets, and that it's going to be able to sit up as straight as possible. I didn't get it perfectly centered in the pot, to be honest with you, but at this point I was just really happy to have it in a new pot and to have taken care of getting the mold away, getting that loose dirt away, and giving it some really nutrient-dense potting soil to work with over the winter that I'm hoping is going to be really supportive. And so I gave it some water, and this is what it's looking like after it's repot. Honestly, it looks to me way better already. I did remove, it had like some binding around it, and now it's just kind of hanging out, hanging free. I have a habit of doing that with Monstera, but I am so happy with it. It looks so much better. This terracotta is going to keep mold from growing. It's going to really kind of make sure that moisture doesn't build up and then mold starts forming around the outside of the soil, like we saw happen when I first took it out of the plastic pot. So this is great. I'm glad that I did it. Thank you to everyone who left comments telling me to do it and encouraging me and letting me know that they had done it and it's not the end of the world. And then of course, it's so funny because obviously, yes, it's winter, but I could get a grow light if the plant does go into shock or really has trouble adjusting from being repotted this late in the season. But I'm incredibly happy, and I just want to say thank you again for that encouragement. It meant a lot to me, and as you can see, it's been a huge success. It looks so much better. I think it's going to be a lot healthier for the repotting, and I can't wait to see what it looks like starting next spring. I plan to give it some TLC over the winter. Until next time, be well and take care.